First off, we're making dua for our sister Iman, but she asks, do I have the power to inspire my husband to cure his disease of racism in his heart? Do I have to divorce him if he doesn't because it's hurting my kids of color?
Wow.
And for her question, she would love to hear from Sheikh Ubaydullah on the racism aspect and Ustad Lobna on the divorce aspect. Obviously, both of you are invited to speak on both, inshallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is a very difficult question. You know, my heart goes out to my sister Iman, and you know, I know that you don't want to be in a place that you feel that your children are being harmed. Where I would attempt to address this problem with my spouse, if that were the issue that I had with my spouse, would be to say, you know, this issue that you have with the diversity that Allah has placed in His creation is not an issue with the creation. It's an issue with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. هُوَ الَّذِي يُصَوِّرُكُمْ فِي الْأَرْحَامِ كَيْفَ يَشَاءُ. It is God who shaped you in the wombs of your mothers as He pleased. So it's not simply that, okay, you have something against a certain kind of people, and it would be more courteous of you towards those people if you didn't express those ideas. No, it's deeper than that. You have taken issue with the fact that God has diversified His creation in the way that He wanted to. The creation of Allah is an expression of His creative power. And if you don't appreciate that, لا يقدرون الله حق قدره, you have grossly underestimated Allah. I think the fallacy of how we tend to talk about racism, and we're usually talking about racism from a social vantage point. We talk about the harm that the person does to the object of their racism. And that's important, right? But you also have to talk about the harm the person does to him or herself. Right? That's important to talk about the harm that you do to the object of your racism, but the harm that you do to yourself. Right? This person is a zalim li nafsi. This person is an oppressor to himself. Right? If you believe that Allah has restricted goodness or restricted intelligence or restricted uprightness or restricted beauty from some element of His creation categorically. Now, why would you believe a silly, erroneous thing like that? Why would you believe something like that? And how could you believe something like that without, it's like Ibn Ta'ala, he said, if you doubt your rizq, you doubt your raziq. Allah. If you doubt your provision, you doubt your provider. If you in some way are saying that there's something inherently inadequate, something inherently disagreeable, distasteful, unattractive about Allah's creation, right? And I'm not saying that people can't have their preferences, but when those preferences attack the very integrity of a person or a group of people, this is something that is unfortunate. And furthermore, it's the continuation of a precedent that was established by Shaitan. Shaitan was the first member of the created order to say, Ana khayrun min, I'm better than him, and to arrogate himself on the basis of an arbitrary element of his creation. Shaitan did that. So every person that does that, I'm better than this person for something arbitrary. We're not talking about virtue. We're not talking about merit. We're talking about something arbitrary, like the color of your skin, the shape of your nose, the thickness of your lips, the texture of your hair. that's a shaitanic thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shaitanic thing. And I would caution very strongly anybody who professes belief in Islam and the God of Islam against falling in to such, shaitanic makayid traps.
That's deep, Sheikh.
No, Wallahu a'lam.
That you just flipped the whole racism card from that statement of racism from an action of hurting someone to a problem of aqidah.
It's a problem of aqidah.
Allahu Akbar. That was a lesson in aqidah for all of us right now. Yeah, that's deep.
No, Jazakillah khair.
Subhanallah. That everybody note that down because that's powerful. Sister Iman, so take that and add on to that. Subhanallah, you still have, that's powerful. If that's something you can communicate to your husband, I hope you can. And on top of that, are there any other harms that are also going on? I'm curious, I know we can't have a live session right now, but something to take into consideration. It may not necessarily have to be that you need to divorce your husband, but it sounds like maybe that there's other things going on. So that's for you. That's only for you to decide. Are there other harms that are going on in terms of communication, in terms of maybe mistreatment of the children? It doesn't necessarily have to be physical, but if there's other emotional, mistreatment of the children, or maybe in your situation as well, that's difficult to say online and in this type of space. So in and of itself, it doesn't necessarily have to warrant a divorce, but again, if there's other issues going on and there's an unhappiness because you're not able to get through and there's other type of things that are going on, that's definitely something for you to decide and for you to contemplate and inshallah to seek further guidance for someone where you can have a deeper one-on-one conversation. So I definitely recommend that for you, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. And again, as Sheikh Ubaydullah said, I'm sorry that you're in that situation. That's something that's very difficult and painful to be in, subhanAllah.